On January 13th, 2026, we've received a big update made public in regards to Rockstar's 34 illegally fired employees, who were fired on October 31st, 2025, which unfortunately led to the announcement for the delay of GTA 6. Most of the information that I will provide does come from this 40-minute long video. For those who wants to check it out themselves, I'll leave the link of that in the description below, amongst other sources of information that I've used to provide to you in my video. To summarize it short and sweet, recently a preliminary hearing took place via Zoom rather than in person over a course of 2 days between Rockstar Games and a representative for IWGB game workers representing for these fired employees. Unfortunate news has arrived, however, in regards for these fired employees, and they were denied eligibility to apply for interim relief, which is a temporary court order or payment to provide urgent help while a longer legal case is ongoing, preventing severe hardship before a final judgment, common in employment, to cover immediate needs, like paying bills. And to be quite honest, from my perspective, Rockstar could have lost this preliminary hearing phase and would still have to continue paying for these employees who are fired until they have a better life, etc. Only if IWGB game workers hired the correct attorney to represent them. Now, I've taken notes to provide to you in this video, so I'll try to summarize it, but I'll go into as much detail as I could to help you understand what happened during these hearings. That was publicly revealed to us, by the way. Now, Videotech UK, from what I see, tried their best to summarize what has happened in that video that was discussed. However, some of it is misinformation and not entirely clear and just mismatched. So I try to clarify it in this video myself after seeing the video myself and of course examining through it thoroughly. So initially, a Rockstar Games spokesperson has stated that they took action against a small group of individuals across the UK and internationally who distributed and discussed confidential information, including specific game features from upcoming and unannounced titles, in a public forum, in breach of company policy and their legal obligations. This public forum being, by the way, a private Discord server, but of course the court was too dumb to understand that. Claims that these dismissals were linked to union membership or activities are entirely false and misleading. Rockstar has indicated to IGN that the Discord channel in question included non-Rockstar employees, such as a game journalist, an employee of a rival developer, and multiple anonymous members. Of course, unproven, but they still wanted to say that anyways to defend themselves, and that staff who discussed union membership favorably, but in its view did not breach confidentiality obligations, were not dismissed. Honestly, the last time I used Discord, which was like just 7 seconds ago when I took a brief pause in this video, I didn't see it as a public forum. But then again, I guess there's specific judges for specific things, right? Anyway, some of the information that I've taken notes of. First of all, in regards to witness statements only, Rockstar has given and provided 20 pages worth of statements, where on the union side, quote unquote, they provided around 250 pages. Where of course Rockstar is represented from some dick-faced munchkin Magoo who just would anyways make up any bullshit in their favor to make Rockstar win a case like they always do. However, the union hired Lord Hendy, as his name goes, who was well known as the barrister champion of trade union, and is also known as the barrister who practices in employment and trade union law. So on day one of this preliminary hearing, Lord Hendy had his right to make his own statement after they made a 40-minute introduction, who initially defined what gross misconduct is and how Take-Two and Rockstar defined it with their materials and the procedures that should have taken place, like disciplinary hearings, how employees would be able to bring another companion or person with them to any interviews as part of the investigation, etc. if these employees were proven guilty by Rockstar, or employees weren't even aware of any investigation to begin with. He then further cited common UK laws of what deems to be gross misconduct is by using willful behavior which means to do something intentional with a lack of care, being a requirement for the charge where the employee would have to go against a contract they had with their employer, and to immediately fire a worker, they'd have to prove that they had intentions of gross misconduct, in which all of these steps were just simply skipped over. In his claim, he deemed that the allegation of gross misconduct was just a scapegoat reason which Rockstar needed to use to fire these workers anyways, which led to the firings of union members primarily anyways. Anyway, this point was repeated numerous times to try to prove that the way the firings were done was just a way to serve as an example to other employees who had thoughts of joining the union or who are already members who are not yet fired. In which further on, Lord Handy pointed to a witness statement provided by Rockstar Games' Director of Human Resources, who detailed how Rockstar had gained access to that Discord server to begin with. The witness report states as follows: on 7th and 9th of October 2025, 2 employees based at our Lincoln studio separately contacted me on Slack to report concerns about other employees' improper use of Discord. To assist with my investigation, one of the employees who had reported their concerns offered to share their login credentials for the Discord server, giving me access to see the relevant messages. The problem with this, even if the gross misconduct was proven in favor of Rockstar, that this was not the only discussion happening in the union's Discord. They had also viewed trade union discussions leading back to 2023 as evidence provided by Rockstar themselves, with discussions that the union had just crossed this very important 10% threshold that would allow them to apply for statutory recognition. For those like myself who initially didn't know what this means, it means a formal, legally mandated process where a trade union gains the right to collectively bargain with an employer for worker pay, hours, and conditions, usually after the employer refuses a voluntary recognition, compelling them through a government body like the CAC in the UK. So initially, the steps they would have to take, they would have to request to an employer to apply for what they would call voluntary recognition, but if the employer won't voluntarily recognize them, they could request for statutory recognition from government bodies like the CAC, that because it's based on laws like the UK's Employment Relations Act 1999 and so on, so that they can be legally recognized through the government by their employer that they are indeed a union. From what I'm aware, the reasons to why they attempted to unionize was never brought up in court or during these hearings. Rockstar also brought up reference posts where the union members, quote-unquote, have made that they'd be going public in 2025, where they have reached 180 members, and repeatedly exclaimed they have reached over the 10% threshold, and Rockstar's representative stated they clearly knew what this union was doing and that it was getting stronger, and this was the reason for the firings, and this number of firings had taken the number of union members below the threshold percentage as a result. During a meeting with IWGB senior organizer that was done after the first day of the preliminary hearings, a representative for them, Jamie, had made a statement where the only way that Rockstar could have even got hold of this evidence was by using a Discord account to impersonate a Rockstar employee, or by using a Rockstar employee's Discord account, since the Discord server was private. Unfortunately, it was shown to the court that this was a public forum, which is not what Discord is, but anyway. These firings have also removed key union activists and again served as an example to anyone else who viewed those firings. Lord Handy also spoke about how the firings were handled, finding it shocking how all 34 workers had to be dismissed within a time frame of about 6 hours without any disciplinary meetings scheduled, no full reason given other than gross misconduct, and that this was just about humiliation and about sending a message to other Rockstar workers who were thinking about unionizing. So while that generally summarized what happened during day 1, day 2 moves on, where now Rockstar's representative could make their statement, in which, to summarize it, brief points were brought up, but not fully argued in the hearing. What they generally said was this: participating in the Discord is not an act of a union. There is not enough for the communication that members are making to simply be in support of the IWGB of the union or to even be aligned with them. It needs to fit certain parameters, much simpler than that, and yet for them to be trade union activities, the messages would have to be sent outside of working hours or within an agreed time that have been made between the union and Rockstar, and because that agreement was never met, the union was not recognized. If the messages happened within within working hours, they would not be valid trade union activities. Right after hearing that point, as a side note, right after hearing that, I already knew Rockstar, they were going to seek favor towards Rockstar, because obviously IWGB knew what they were fighting for, they just had the wrong kind of representation. In simple terms, they brought a knife to a gunfight. Who do you think's gonna win? Besides that though, Rockstar's representation discussed repeatedly and tried expressing that Discord is a public forum, that anyone can just come and go as they please, anyone can enter it, anyone can leave it, anyone could view it. Rockstar's representative has also shared the idea that the server had a journalist present and lurking in a server that proved to be a legitimate risk for Rockstar for the following 3 reasons. First of all, he was recognized as a freelance writer and a narrative designer who used to work for Bohemia Interactive for almost a decade, before founding a small codev studio of his own called Cerberus Creative. He was also elected representative of IWGB of the Game Workers branch, which is the reason he was invited into this Discord server to work with the Rockstar quote-unquote union members, even though again they were not recognized as a union. And finally, he was also proven to be a recognized games journalist with evidence put forward of 6 articles being written for a British political newspaper called The Morning Star between 2022 and 2025, one of which included Grand Theft Car Crash, which was written weeks after the first GTA 6 delay, about his opinion on why the gaming industry may be in trouble because of how much is riding on the success of GTA 6. However, no new confidential information was revealed or leaked in the article, and nothing Rockstar related was mentioned in his other work. It was also disclosed but not proven that there were about 10 former employees on the Discord server now working for competitors who had access to this confidential information. It was not clear who they were or what access they had across the entire server, including the general channel, which was heavily discussing in this hearing. There were other channels available for former employees even after leaving Rockstar, such as for discussing pets, music, games, and other hobbies. And Rockstar had really tried to clarify that some of these employees had access to the general chats and were able to read some of the discussions going on, which did pose a risk to the company's security and reputation. And anyways, after all this nonsense was brought up by Rockstar, though the actual reasons they brought up were to state that it had nothing to do with trade union membership or trade union activity, since of the 34 workers who were fired, 31 of them were in the UK who were also members of the IWGB, yet 3 of them are in Canada and are not members, therefore shouldn't be looked at as firings purely because they were members to this union. They've even discussed in their investigation that they've seen many more messages, including from those labeled as active IWGB members, talking about attempting to unionize, and those members have not yet been fired, so it would not be fair for the court to rule in favor of IWGB and the fired workers as a result of this evidence provided in this hearing, simply for discussing trade union activity being the primary reason for being fired. A statement after all this was put forward. Rockstar's representative stated the firings were the result of breach of contract, including discussions on this Discord of a top secret element for GTA 6 that was too sensitive that he asked the judge to read the particular piece of information privately. Unfortunately, Rockstar is so fucking stupid, they don't even know that that piece of information is available in GTA 5 online. Spoiler alert. For those who continue to play GTA to this day and subscribe to GTA Plus. On top of that, they've also read posts phrased around the words "get fucked" when describing a decision made by Rockstar or calling a manager a cunt. Straight up, I don't care, I'm gonna say it. Eventually, there was a lot of back and forth. The judge had described she had received so much evidence, including as part of the submissions, that she would have to take time to review the evidence, and the verdict would come in written form as soon as possible. During the review period of evidence, Rockstar had submitted nearly 2,000 pages worth of evidence versus 2 boxes that had come from the union members. And of course, the journalist in that video has revealed some of that stuff to us. which thankfully for me I like to go over quickly. Anyways, one of the fired employees had written, being told they don't want more than 13 people off at a time. We're a team of 56 people, soon to be 60. Until the end of this year, they want no more than 5 people off at a time apparently. And someone else made a really bold statement, absolutely no idea. They mentioned the large session we did today being difficult to do, but that was 32 players, not sure how that was difficult. In regards to this top secret information, by the way, it's about a potential 32 player session. I mean, what's so fucking hidden about that? We have that in GTA Online. Does Rockstar not remember GTA Online exists? This is the only thing that comes to Rockstar's mind when you hear GTA Online. GTA Plus? Shark cards? GTA Plus? Shark cards? How big are sessions? Shark cards? GTA Plus? Do they even know GTA Online exists? Are they that fucking stupid? Anyways, in Rockstar's arguments, they have stated on their own grounds of resistance that the respondent was also gravely concerned to discover that some of the claimants had been sharing highly confidential and commercially sensitive information relating to the content and features of an unannounced online service. Yay, thanks for revealing it to us, Rockstar. Even though we already fucking know about it in GTA 5. Hahaha, screw you. They discussed the specific number of online players planned for the service, a material feature of this new title, which has not yet been revealed by Rockstar. Well, obviously, but we already know about it. It's common sense. Why would you not try to milk more money out of your player base? But anyways, another fired Rockstar employee has made this statement, which unfortunately got them fired. The only thing that they've ever said, me being nothing that I've heard in North QA. Will keep you updated if that changes, of course. And we're thinking to ourselves, why would they get fired for this phrase? The reason being, that was defended by Jennifer Colby, which was head of publishing for Rockstar Games. They stated the key evidence we relied upon for the dismissal included information about working patterns in his team. This information could indicate the stage of development that GTA 6 was at for those familiar with the games industry, and could also undermine team collaboration. Basically, we want to defend the fact, we want to hide the fact that humans shit. We know we shit, but we just don't want to let you know when we shit. Like, okay, that's a great way to hide it, I guess. From that fired employee who made that one statement, they have made their witness statement saying, on the 15th of May I sent a message to the Discord's general channel to say that I hadn't heard anything about employees being asked to crunch in the North QA department, but that I would keep the others updated. However, I never followed up on this message. This was in response to colleagues in other departments being concerned about a rising workload. I would argue this is the only message I ever sent that was directly discussing work, and if anything, it seems to me that this would be considered the opposite of disparaging. But anyways, as a result of these 2 days worth of hearings and the judge Eccles? Okay. Has made a statement saying, having made a summary assessment of all the information before it, the tribunal was not persuaded that it appears likely that on determinate claims at a final hearing, the tribunal will find that the claimants were unfairly dismissed for trade union membership or trade union activities. The application for interim relief has therefore been refused. You saw favor in money-hungry, greedy bastards. You're gonna suffer. At this point, you can just ignore all of the statements that were made. You just had one representative from Rockstar who's like, hey judge, you know, you've got a similar last name to one of our fictional characters in our game. The judge probably knows them. Maybe the judge really loves Rockstar. I don't fucking know how they managed to find a way. You know why? It's because IWGB hired the wrong attorney to represent them. He was given the wrong kind of information, and he was expressed to himself that they actually were a union, which was proven kind of to be untrue. It was proven to be untrue. Rockstar didn't have to even make a bullshit phrase of all of that nonsense that they made a mention of afterwards. That's it. Anyways, a former Rockstar employee has made a statement in response to this. The decision to fail to reward that is a gut punch to everyone legitimately engaged in trade union activities. The real-world consequences of this are forcing valuable people to leave this country, upending their families, and destroying their lives, all because of the actions of a ruthless, uncaring employer's quest to crush a trade union. We'll continue the fight to clear out names, regain our jobs, and put an end to this chapter of our lives. Good luck doing that, because no matter how hard you will fight, you either need to get yourself the best attorney out there, who's basically one from South Park, who will simply say, "This is Chewbacca." How does this make reference to their statement? It doesn't make sense. Just like their statement does not make sense. And that's how the judge will see favor in them. You better have an attorney who does that. Not some guy who's... You're basically trying to compare apples to oranges. Oh, look at me, I got hit by a fruit being under an orange tree and an apple fell. Oh, we're gonna represent you to defend against the orange tree. Yeah, but it was an apple that fell, so it came from an apple tree. Ah, case dismissed. And of course, Rockstar with a smug on their face and a freaking thumb up their ass and more money being made from GTA Plus is smiling ever so gracefully, riding a fucking unicorn, made a statement: the Glasgow Employment Tribunal has rejected the union's application for interim relief. We welcome the decision, which is consistent with Rockstar's position throughout. We are so happy we got to win again. Ooh, our first court case, we won again. We regret that we were put in a position where dismissals were necessary, but we stand by our course of action as supported by the outcome of this hearing. Ooh, I can't even fucking speak like Rockstar. Unfortunately, I don't smoke as much weed and meth as they do. Anyways, IWGB Game Workers has made a statement concerning a decision to not grant interim pay relief to the members fired by Rockstar. So if you want to read that yourself, it generally covers most of what I've already said, including from Judge Eccles. They had to have been bribed. There's no fucking way. It's either they got bribed or it's mainly because they had the wrong representation. They were given the wrong information, that's all. Anyways, before I keep this video any longer than I should, hope I did explain to you everything that has been necessary to be discussed with you. But as far as I'm concerned, after even sharing my opinion and thoughts on it, I'm sure this video has been longer than I should have made it. But regardless of which, I still wish to have covered it regardless. If you wish to watch over it over the next 2 days or 3, it's up to you. But regardless, thank you for watching. Hope you guys did find this informative. And of course, fuck you, Rockstar. You had to bullshit your way into winning this preliminary hearing. I hope you lose the actual court case. You guys don't deserve to win. You've been ripping off money. You've been doing so much illegal shit at this point. Freaking lose. Of course, they're gonna hire an attorney who's just gonna freaking say, "This is Chewbacca." Anyways, before I continue ranting on about how bullshit Rockstar is, they lied their way to win, that's all. And they got lucky because the other person representing the other team wasn't even meant for that. Anyways, thank you for watching. Have yourselves a great week. Sorry for the bad news, but let's hope that when it comes to the official court case, the court hearing, whenever that will happen, that Rockstar loses. Let's just pray. Let's pray. If Rockstar loses, I'm buying 2 copies of GTA 6. If they lose. If not, sorry Rockstar. I'd rather spend my money on Subway sandwiches. Take care, y'all.